Hi there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Today I want to talk about my portable power station. They make portable power stations out there, Jackerman being the main one. And those things run from 240 watts up to about 400, I think. And they range in price from $250 up to $500 pretty fast. And so they're very expensive when you think about it. They're handy to have. Not everybody wants one or needs one, but I'm going to show you an alternative to buying those. I'm going to build my portable power station, and I'm going to build it based on the 9-volt or the 18-volt Ryobi battery. So if you have an 18-volt system out there of batteries that you use battery tools on, you buy like all DeWalt or whatever, I buy the Ryobi, and I can talk about that, and if you want, I'll do a video about why I go with Ryobi. They don't sponsor me. I've used Ryobi for years, and we'll go over why if you want. But right now, I just want to talk about the portable power unit because there's a lot to go over here. And I'm trying to keep this under 20 minutes. So, first off, I figured out that it takes 4 batteries to give me 360 watt hours. And that's more than the Jackerman puts out. So that'll be a good amount. 4 batteries. So I have $120 worth of batteries, and you go, wow, you're coming in on another price already. Well, not really, because these batteries double duty. I use Ryobi for a lot of things. I use them in the shop for all those hand tools. I also use it like on my weed whacker and other things like that. Ryobi, that's why I like the Ryobi, is because there's so many different things that you can buy in accessories to run off of these batteries. So I decided it'd be nice to have a portable power unit based on these that I can run something that is not a Ryobi if I want to, something that's 110 or 12 volts. So it's going to be a handy system to have around for me. You may not want this, but if you do, this is not going to be bad. The other advantage to this system over the Jackerman or most of those, they have a dedicated battery. And by that means that if you run it down, you have to recharge it, you have to leave it sit there plugged in. You can't use it while it's recharging unless you use it sitting there. But you can't pick it up and use it, so all of a sudden it's out of use for a while. With this, because of these batteries, as long as I have enough batteries around for all the things I do, I put 4 batteries in here, I run them down, I can walk back, get 4 more batteries, put them in here, throw these in my charger, and go right back to work in 2 minutes. So this is an advantage in the fact that the power is perpetual as long as you want to change out your batteries and charge them back up. So as far as charging them, I did buy a supercharger, and I'm going to be plugging batteries into that as I go along, rotating. And so I got to build some kind of organized workstation for charging batteries rather than the way I have it. And yes, I'm working on it. Anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about. So I decided that 4 batteries is what I want. So I have a base here and divider in between to hold the batteries in place. And then I built an outside box. And it's just out of flooring, 1/2-inch plywood. I have a rabbit here that then will set down over that plate. And this is going to be the box unit. It'll be split about halfway, so when I flip the lid open, all the electrical guts will be in the lid, and I'll have easy access to these batteries to connect and disconnect the batteries. So if I want to put batteries in this and use it, it only takes me a couple of minutes. Flip the lid open, set the batteries in, hook them up, close the lid, latch it, and now it's ready to go. It will have on the lid where all the guts are. It'll have 3 units here, a voltmeter, which will monitor the 18-volt side, and it'll have a USB plug-in and a cigarette lighter. And they'll be right in the top looking down at it in the lid. When I flip it open, this all flips out of the way. I got to have room for these right in this area, so when it closes, it'll kind of set into this area here. So that's the whole strategy. So the batteries have to go in this configuration where the posts are all out to the corners, outside corners. I marked the positive and the negative on the battery with a little highlight of white on the negatives so I can easily see which side is the negative. Because you always want positive to positive, negative to negative, red and black. And as far as the cap, quick story, there's two things about it that you need to know. And that is that the original one I took and I redid it, heated them up, and then I put 2 bolts in here instead of 1. And these are in line with the 2 contact points on the battery. So when I drop this on, these are directly in line to it. So now when I take my electrical power and I plug this one in here, this one's adjusted and I never have to adjust it. I only have to adjust the negative side. So I put the positive in, I put the negative in, and when I tighten down the negative, that pulls the whole thing over so it tightens up both terminals. And now, with about 3/4 of a turn or so, this thing is now locked down, so it's good, ready to go. My power then will also be hooked up to everything up here. So I can hook up these 4 real easy using this system. So if you do a PVC pipe, use the 2-bolt method. This will be more than workable. And it only take a couple of minutes to plug 4 batteries in. Now, I happen to be very lucky here on this project. I have a fellow content creator, George. I've talked about him before. If you want to know his channel, if you go to my home channel, to the home page of my channel on YouTube, there's a section there called Featured Channels. And I've listed him in that. I control that list. And he is in that list. Those are the channels that I like to watch, and I encourage other people to watch them. So if you look at those are the ones. Now, the only ones on that list are the smaller channels like myself. I don't put anybody like April or Matthias on there. We all know about him anyway, and her. So I'm only showing you some of the other small channels around, so that I actually interact with at times, at different times. But George is one of those guys, and he volunteered to make me several caps so that I can replace this piece with a little snap-on cap. And I can run my wires. And so I probably will replace these with those, because then I just have to put the cap on and I'm connected. That'll be more convenient. But you can do it this way if you don't have access to a 3D printer or somebody like George. So that will be up to you how you do this. But so that change I'll be making somewhere down the road once I get those in. Thank you, George. Get ready for my order. I'm probably going to order 200 more soon. Not really, I was just kidding. George and I had an agreement that we didn't want to do this for a living, those little caps. And he was afraid that I would turn that into a business. But like him, no. But I had to tease him. Anyway, so that's how these work. And these actually now work very well for the connection of these. As far as the wires, the little terminal block that you have to hook all your wires to, they're usually made out of steel or tin or aluminum or something. It has a screw you screw down so you can put your terminal into it and screw it down with a Phillips screwdriver. Well, I had this piece of aluminum tubing that was about 12 inches long. And you can see where this is half of it. And it was an extrusion of some kind. And I took it and cut it into 4 pieces. So now this is going to be great for making my aluminum block. So I'll just cut it into the strips I need, drill a hole and tap it for 5, for a 10 32 and for a 1/4 20 bolts. And then I'll put little short bolts with lock nuts and washers on it. And this will be my terminal block. It's aluminum. It's about 3/16 of an inch thick, so that's enough to be able to put some threads on it so they'll hold when you tighten them down. And this is this will be a lot cheaper than buying those terminal blocks. I don't know if you've seen that. Those things run $12-15 a piece. That's unbelievable. And you need 2 of them, one positive, one negative. So anyway, I'll use this stuff for both this one and for the other portable power unit. So, and that's kind of all the different pieces that I'm going to do. Oh, and again, if you remember, I have a rule that anything in my shop that I make, if it needs hinges, I'm not allowed to use store-bought hinges. So guess what? This project's no different. So I am going to do some hinges on it. I happened to find, I had this hinge here that I made as a prototype, and I like the style and the proportions. That's why I kind of did it. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but when I did that, I actually made 4 blanks One of them I broke in the process of making that one. So now these two are going to be ready. I'm going to take these two and use these as my hinge on the box. And yes, I'm going to make my own latch. So if you have any suggestions about what kind of latching mechanism to put on there, let me know. I'm going to do something I think that'll be kind of cool. So this box will be really nice. And then once I get it done, the box itself is going to sit on top like this. Whoop, let me turn this around. So it's going to sit on here like that, glued together, and I don't think it'll be quite this tall. Then I'll have an inner partition here where the lid, the top, is not going to be even at the top. It'll actually be recessed down some so that this will sit on the outside of the box like so. But everything will be a little higher. It'll probably set about this high so that these vents will still be open for circulation. And this will be on the outside of the box. The on and off switch is right here, and the plug-ins. And then these other three plug-ins here that I have will all be right here in the lid straight down. So when I open it up, I'll have access to all the electrical components. And when it's closed and latched, I'll have a strap on here so I can carry it on my shoulder or as a handle, and I can take this and carry it anywhere I want. It's going to be about 10 pounds, it feels like, so it's not going to be too heavy. It'll be close to the same height as the others. But that's the plan on the whole thing coming together. Main components, this inverter. You can buy a 120 to 400 watt inverter, which is what I would use for this. And I with at least one 110 outlet on it, and you can buy something like that for under $30. The step down converter, I paid $12 for that. So, and then the 3 gauges, I think that ran me about somewhere between $10 and $20 for all that. So I have $50 or $60 wrapped up here, excluding the price of the batteries. And as I told you, they're multitasking. I use them for everything around here. Lots of different stuff. So they, you can say, yeah, I got another $120 wrapped up in here, but that's still cheaper than theirs, and it has more power than their 240 watt Jackery. So I think this is coming together pretty good. As far as the testing on these, I took one of these batteries and did some experiment with it. I ran my computer, my little Surface Pro out here in the shop. I ran that for 12 hours off of one battery hooked up using the step-down inverter. And the other thing I learned is that these batteries have a built-in safe mode, that when they get below a certain voltage, which happens to be around 15.1, they shut down. That's why your drill quits working when the battery goes dead. It shuts down. You don't have any voltage reading there, so it has some kind of limiter on there that won't allow it to give you any voltage lower than that. So they already have somewhat of a built-in safety feature to it. So I don't think that this is going to be too big of a problem. My box will have holes drilled in it for ventilation so that it won't overheat. And again, I don't know exactly how I'll do it, but I think it'll look halfway decent when I get done as far as a unit. And it should be pretty handy to have around. It'll be great that if I'm using it and I still want to use it and the batteries run out, as opposed to plugging it in the wall and waiting for it to recharge like you have to with a Jackerman, I can take it, open it up, take the batteries out, put 4 more in, plug those into my charger, and I'm back in business in 2 minutes. So in some ways, this is going to be a better unit than what you can even buy as far as I'm concerned. The battery packs are a separate entity to the unit. And also, I can put only 3 batteries in here instead of 4 if that's all I have and I want to use it. I don't have to put 4 in it. I can put 1 in there if that's what I want. Depends on how much power you want out of it before it runs dry and before it runs down. So it's flexible as to how much power this thing will carry in it. So that's the whole thing. That's my plan. When I get done with it, then we'll probably run some tests on it. I'll probably try to run a power tool or 2 to see how long I can run them, how long I can run a fan. And most importantly, I'll hook this up to my Surface Pro and see how many days I can run this thing for without it plugged into the wall. I think these would be interesting tests. If you figure out any tests that I should try, Any suggestions about it? All help is appreciated, because just like you might guess, I am winging this. This is not what I started with exactly, but this is kind of where it's taken me. And I may still make changes as we go along, but right now, I think this is actually coming pretty close to what a Jackery portable power station or any of those, but it'd be a lot less money. So if you have any questions about this, how I'm doing it, or why would I really want one, I'll discuss anything you have. But I think this is a fun project, and it's going to be very useful in the shop, and it makes these batteries multitasking. I love it. So anyway, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you like this video, if you learned anything here, hit that like button. It tells me I'm doing the right thing. Most importantly, though, come back again, because you already know I'm nowhere near done. And yes, I'm still working on the other one too. I should have both these up and running, hopefully in the next few days. And then I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll find something. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.